sometimes you get thoughts, and between morning, evening, and you entertain conversations, and thoughts come in, and you go different ways. I hope Sister Smith is all right. I don't see her here. She doing okay there, Brother Smith? Oh, she, oh, okay. I just want to check. I want to see. She was all right. She was okay. Luke chapter number 13. Begin at verse number 10. You can follow me in the Bible. It says, at verse 10, Luke 13, and he was teaching in one of the synagogues on the Sabbath. And behold, there was a woman which had a spirit of infirmity, 18 years, and was bowed together, and could in no wise lift up herself. And when Jesus saw her, he called her to him, and said unto her, Woman, thou art loose from thine infirmity. And he laid his hands on her, and immediately she was made straight, and glorified God. And the ruler of the synagogue answered with indignation, because that Jesus had healed on the Sabbath day, and said unto the people, There are 6 days in which men ought to work. In them therefore come and be healed, and not on the Sabbath day. And the Lord did answer him and said, Thou hypocrite, does not each one of you on the Sabbath loose his ox or his ass from the stall, and lead him away to water? And ought not this woman, being a daughter of Abraham, whom Satan hath bound, in these 18 years be loose from this bond on the Sabbath day? Just some thoughts to glean this evening. Do you want to be made straight? Do you want to be made straight? When we look at this passage for a moment, it gives the thought, God formed us. Sin deformed us. But Jesus Christ transforms us. Brings us to a state, returns us to a state of comfort, peace, tranquility, and unity in the Godhead. Look, if you will, for a moment. It says in verse number 11, it says, And behold, there was a woman which had a spirit of infirmity, 18 years, and was bowed together, and could in no wise lift up herself. First of all, that number 18 in Bible numerology stands for bondage. It actually means bondage. It's a number for bondage. The number 18 is. And you go to the Bible and you can look at number 18, you find the idea that 18 pops up several times in the course of the Old Testament studies. But the thing I want to get at, though, is that she was bowed down together. And the Bible tells you from verse 16 that she was bound by Satan for 18 years. It says she was completely deformed by the power of the devil. It is always Satan's business, wherever he can, to bow down the souls of men to the earth. Sin never fails to make a crook and hit the wheel and thoughts of those under its dominion. Look at Romans chapter 5, verse number 6, if you will. The Bible says in Romans chapter 5, about verse 6, it said, For when we were yet without strength, In due time, Christ died for the ungodly. Without strength, just like this woman who was bent over and could never look up.
Yeah.
We at one time, church, we haven't always been looking up our whole life.
Amen.
There's a time, the idea where life had us bent over so far that to see the light of day was far-fetched in our mind. Never thought the idea we would be able to rise above our situations. Here he dictates in Romans chapter 5, verse 6, we were without strength. He was saying the idea that we were weak, dying, helpless, to resist sin and to do good. That's what he said. We were weak, dying, and helpless to resist sin and to even try to do good. Listen, trying to resist doing wrong and then trying to do good. We in the middle of both, though. That's a rough place to be at. It said, then we were powerless to deliver ourselves from misery. Look at what we're talking about now. If I'm trying to resist on this end, and I'm trying to do good on this end, and I'm unsuccessful on both sides, I am most miserable right now. Because I can't do either one. When I try to do it, I try to stand up, I find myself falling down. He even said that ungodly, we were, oh Lord, we were in sin. Satan ruled and controlled. We was in bondage. You got to say, well, you know, bro, Kimmons, no, don't say that now. The devil didn't have me. Boy, question you then, did the Lord have you? Because if he didn't have you, somebody else did. It's only two places you can be, either with the Lord or you can be with him. And a lot of times we say, well, no, he didn't have me. Well, if you didn't have God, he got you thinking you don't need God. Therefore, he still got you too. There's no way around it. We were in sin. And then the fact that we were sinners. We were bent on finding happiness. But we were always missing the mark. Man. We tried our best to be happier. Yes, we did. We looked out in the world. We put people around us. We put things around us. We put social events around us. We covered ourselves with so many different things to try to make ourselves happy, but we continued to miss the mark. Yep. Because then once those things died out for that day, we were right back to being who we were. Right back in our same old situations. Sin, listen, here's a part we miss. Sin does not allow you to reach a successful accomplishment and then stop. Sin wants you to keep on keeping on. It wants you to keep on chasing it. For as long as you keep chasing it, it's never going to let you reach what you think you're trying to reach. You'll continue to run and run and run until, guess what? You finally run out. Your body can't maintain, your mind can't maintain. And sins keep on, every time you reach one thing, it'll show you something else. It'll show you, well, you know, I got this, well, you need this too. You get that, well, you got to have this too. And you keep on running, and the further you run, the more you're losing who you are. Sin starts taking away your body. If you don't be careful, you ever saw some folks sometimes? You look at you and say, you know what, wow. Nobody here now. You want to look up somebody, you want to say, you know what, how old are you? Oh, I'm 21. Lord, have mercy. You're 21. You know, what you been doing? You know, and they say, well, do I look young? Yeah, you look young. You sure do. But that's what sin does to you. It will take its effect on just, not just on you mentally, but it'll start tearing you down physically. Because you're chasing something that will never allow you to catch it. It's like Brother Smith said one time about that old dog out there on the on the dog track, that old rabbit out there. Well, you should know from the very start that if you do catch it, you can't eat it because it got your mouth all tied up. And you got there running for your life, believe you're going to, it's not meant for you to catch it. Because once you come near your race, he goes back in a little cubby hole and gets locked up. But you ran all this time with the intent on catching something that was never meant to be caught. That's what sin does to you. Sin just messes your mind up real bad. He said, and do you know we were then? We were so weak, we were enemies. Enemies of two things. Enemies of God and enemies of holiness. We weren't trying to live holy lives, and we weren't trying to be a friend of God. We were battling against both sides. And just like this woman, our backs, our spiritual backs were bent over. And we could never see anything positive coming out of our lives. That's a bad place to be at. And do you not know it's people like that today, in the world today? It says also, it said in verse 11, it said she could in no wise lift up herself. Now look at here now. This is her body. But the devil had a hold of her so bad that she couldn't even lift up her own body. You know what some people, they idea who this world and this old demon has them so wrapped up, they couldn't even try to lift them off their own spirits up. You know what I mean? I've met some folk, you talk to them and try to be so positive, and they can't see nothing positive in what you're saying. You try to tell a boy you walk outside, it's a beautiful day outside. Yeah, but the clouds are coming. The clouds are coming. You know, everything, and you don't realize sometimes you can be so deeply in the midst of stuff that everything you see it from the midst of stuff that you in. You can't appreciate folk because of the condition that you in. You can't say thank you sometimes to people who are giving you their best because you still think about those who have deprived you. Sin will just mess you up like that. And here, like this woman, could no wise look up. It was impossible for her to break the bound that was attached to her. That all she could do every time she moved was look down at the ground. Observe the other. She had been so long bowed down that her deformity had become fixed. You ever seen sometime? The Bible says how we were like that sometime. At one time, our attitudes, when we were without Christ, they would, boy, sometimes you can get so bad until that bad mentality becomes fixed in you. And it don't leave. For you know that we always just, you know what, y'all know I talk like that sometimes. See, the idea of the fact is that she was in this condition so long, the devil had a handcuff down here. You know what it's like to never be able to see anything positive, but always looking down all the time. For not just 1 year, not just 12 months, not just 365 days, year after year, week after week, month after month, hour after hour, that there is nothing positive in sight. Don't you know people it's people in the world today who are like this. They see nothing positive in sight, don't realize the idea the grace of God has appeared to all men. No matter how far you suck down, he can pick you up. But the idea, the fact that they don't know the idea that the word of God is true, is real. It can change our lives. It can make the crooked straight. It can make those lying down get up and walk. The idea of the fact that they have to believe by faith. For 18 years, she was like this. She was perfectly conscious of her outward disfigurement. And probably had often tried several times to straighten herself up, but could not. Many of us today, we are aware of what we are, who we are, and what we are doing. Just like she was. And she probably tried everything she could based upon herself to bring herself up. We got to understand what she's saying right now. If you got you down there, how can you depend upon you to get yourself out? And when the devil gets you down there, unless you got a power that's stronger than his, you can't combat him on your own. You'll fight an enemy you can't see. And he'll manifest himself around in your life. Before you know it, you're fighting, and all you're fighting, you're not making no progress. That's why it said to do battle with him, Ephesians 6 says, put on the whole armor of God. That's the only way you're going to fight enemy you can't see. That you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. But see here, she's helpless. Bow down. Many people today are bowed down. And we got to talk about it, church. Many folk today are bowed down. Some are bowed down dealing with alcoholism. Some are bowed down dealing with drug addiction. Some are bowed down dealing with a lifestyle. Some are bowed down just dealing with hurt from years ago. Some are bowed down because they feel like they're all alone, that nobody cares about them. Many are walking around, and many walk through the house of God bowed down. Bowed down. And can in no wise get themselves up. But we as a people, the Bible said, we have the ministry of reconciliation. We have the answer to how people who are bowed down can straighten up. And that is, give them to Jesus. Bring them to Jesus. Oh, you ain't got to talk about South Park Avenue Church of Christ. Bring them to Jesus. Bring them to the one that's been designated that can fix what's broken. Bring them to Christ. Don't talk about other stuff. Forget about the government. Bring them to Christ. That he may order their lives appropriately. They may know how to live, how to function in this sin-cursed world. Yes. Bring them to Christ. Oh, the condition that she was in. When you go over to Ephesians chapter 2, it gets a little bit deeper for you. When you go over to Ephesians chapter 2, look what he says here in Ephesians chapter 2. Talk about being crooked. Talk about being helpless. Ephesians chapter 2, it says, and you hath he quickened, verse 1, who were dead in trespasses and sins, wherein in time past ye walked according to the course of this world. See how the devil got us bound? According to the prince, look at that, of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children. He worked so much, he called us children of disobedience. Among whom also we all had our conversation in time past, in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind. Watch this now. You go from children, he said he even changed us internally, and we're by nature the children of wrath, even as others. You couldn't get yourself out of your trouble. Oh, someone said back in the day, you ain't got enough strength to fight yourself out of a wet paper bag. Can't do it. Can't do it. All you're going to do is try. Crooked, bent over, helpless. But then you read on. Notice something. The Bible says, when you go back to Luke 13, there's the part I like right here. When you go back to Luke 13, it says in verse 12, I said, you got to remember, verse 10. And he was teaching in one of the synagogues on the Sabbath day. And verse 12, and when Jesus saw her, he called to her. She was in the synagogue, in the temple. Or we want to say she was in the church house. Oh, when Jesus was there. I don't know if she had been coming up 18 years. I have no idea. All I know is she was persistent. I don't know the idea of someone had told her Christ was coming. All I know is that on that day she came, the Lord showed up. Ah, boy. And the Lord showed up. And he saw her condition on the day that he came to the synagogue. But here's the thing. When you drop down a little bit and you go down to verse 14, the Bible says, and the ruler of the synagogue answered with indignation because Jesus had healed on the Sabbath day. Yeah, tell me right now, he already had a problem with her already just showing up.